Images trigger emotions. They are more persuasive and lasting than any words can be. A broad, fertile green valley, a beautiful gorge cutting through the local marm and limestone, dating from ancient times when the Tiber Lake disappeared and the Tiber River formed, flowing through what is now the Upper Tiber Valley, a natural amphitheatre running the entire length of Umbria and beyond. The Tiberis, or Tiberis of Roman times, has maintained its ancient course, shaping the valley in different ways. The valley is narrower between the towns of Città di Castello and Umbertide, and a little broader where the waters of the Nestore and Carpina flow into the Tiber. Oak and chestnut woods, innumerable pristine forests, and a series of nature reserves transform the flat river plain scenario into the mountainous slopes of the Apennines, straddling the Umbria-Marche border. Large expanses of sunny hillside where vines give way to olive trees, as reflected in the transition from various hues of yellow and green before descending to the fertile plains where green tobacco fields reign supreme. Between the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, the river and its valley gravitated towards the area's two principal towns, Città di Castello and Umbertide, both successful and important artistic and cultural centers. These two towns are surrounded atop the highest hills by walled villages boasting fortresses, castles, hermitages, abbeys and monasteries, archaeological sites and ancient monuments, medieval and Renaissance frescoes, museums of art and popular traditions. All of this constitutes the Upper Tiber Valley, otherwise known as the Museum Valley, owing to its extraordinary beauty and artistic riches. Our journey starts here, and the itinerary we now propose is extremely interesting in terms of the landscape. We're going to explore the Niccone Valley, joining Lake Trasimeno and the Upper Tiber Valley. In a hilly area of peaks, panoramic passes, and gentle slopes among ancient oak woods, the main road descends towards the junction for Lisciano Niccone, the village the Etruscans called Lepsana. The Middle Ages left their mark on the village, as can be seen from the remains of the engraved stone architraves and a characteristic circular tower. Now, as then, this village, situated at the foot of Monte Castiglione, seems to be focused on afar, towards nearby Lake Trasimeno, that luminous, mirror-like body of water that reflects the green of the surrounding valley. The calm expression of Lisciano Niccone's inhabitants reveal the slow pace of life that continues to characterize this beautiful little village, surrounded by a surprising range of plants and wildlife that manage to complete their life cycles almost without interference from the presence of humans. This complex ecosystem welcomes visitors eager to immerse themselves completely in this outstanding natural scenario. In fact, the village center is the point of departure for a delightful walk up through Belvedere and Cornia to the picnic spot at Monte Castiglione. This itinerary, designed to be followed on horseback or by mountain bike, offers visitors the opportunity to discover a landscape rich in remnants from the past. These include the itinerary followed by pilgrims and soldiers alike along the Byzantine corridor, a defensive line for controlling communications between Rome and Ravenna, the visible remains of which consist in a series of churches, abbeys, fortresses and castles, such as those at Pierle, Reschio and Lisciano. It would appear that these ancient castles were always built in twos, with one constructed opposite the other for defensive reasons. Another historical itinerary takes us to the nearby hamlet of Val di Rosa, on the plain known as Pian di Marte, which during the mid-11th century was the home to the hermit San Pier Damiani, who resided in the church of San Niccolò. Let's move on now towards Umbertide, an ancient strategic Perugian outpost called Fratta, set against a medieval network of fortified hills. The old part of the town, with its castle-like layout, lies at the confluence of the Regia and Tiber rivers, making it a waterside town. The town belonged for a long time to the city of Perugia, and Braccio Fortebracci was imprisoned in its massive 14th century fortress, which still preserves its square main tower flanked by 2 further towers and a bastion. Visitors to the main square will see the pointed 13th century bell tower of the church of San Giovanni and the town hall, previously the noble residence of the Marquises Bourbon di Sorbelli. During the Renaissance, Umbertide became an artistic center. Pinturicchio painted his masterpiece here, the Coronation of the Virgin Mary, Incoronazione della Vergine, while Luca Signorelli bequeathed the town his Deposition of the Cross, and the large altarpiece by Pomarancio is still on view in Umbertide. These works of art have found the right homes in a setting that duly enhances their cultural value. Hence, the 14th century fortress currently houses the Center for Contemporary Art, while the Church of Santa Croce houses the Civic Museum of the same name, containing a wealth of artworks of inestimable value. The town's artistic heritage also includes its centuries-old links with the ceramic industry, which since the 1930s has been famous for the so-called monk's black, a particularly shiny black glaze. The most important works produced by the firm Ceramiche Rometti are on display in the Rometti Gallery, housed in the firm's modern factory. In this town, the concept of beauty is accompanied by a strong sense of environmental responsibility. The town's cycleways enable you to discover a series of waterside parks alongside the quiet waters flowing on the edges of town. Perhaps the roots of this environmental awareness are to be found in the nearby Abbey of San Salvatore at Monte Corona. The town regularly comes alive with a series of weekly or annual events in accordance with historical and cultural tradition. This is the case of the historical festival Fratte dell'Ottocento, which involves the entire population and evolves in the streets and squares of the town centre, where real historical events are reenacted, while taverns and pubs are opened in 19th century style, and a menu of historical dishes is available based on a series of original recipes. A winding road through some beautiful countryside takes us up to the stunning stone-built town of Montone. This medieval hilltop town is a place that those who visit it will never forget, with its ellipsoid shape standing out strikingly against the green of the surrounding woods and meadows. At its highest points, 2 outstanding buildings reveal the potential of human endeavor. To the north, the Franciscan convent, and to the south, the magnificent fortress of Braccio. The fortress and its military commander, Braccio Fortebracci, not only leader of a troop of mercenaries, but also a wonderful political strategist, in an age in which the buccaneering spirit, audacity and daring were qualities that the great political thinker Machiavelli deemed indispensable for the preservation of a state. Braccio's Montone, preserved in its entirety and protected within its massive defensive walls, open at the town's 3 gates, Verziere, Borgo Vecchio and Monte, the names of which correspond to Montone's 3 quarters, which were responsible for the organization of the population's social life and for the government of the castle. The winding narrow lanes unexpectedly open into broader stairways, crossing the town centre, in the direction of the tall bell tower standing out against the blue skies above. There are many ingredients that contribute towards this small town's exclusive, distant character, and which increase its appeal to visitors and locals alike. Indeed, it's no surprise to learn that Montone has been voted one of Italy's 100 most beautiful small towns and villages. It's no surprise that it's attracted a great many people from outside who have chosen to reside here, creating a cultured community of European extraction that in the summer organizes the wonderful open-air International Film Festival held in Montone's main square. The wonderful thing is that this cosmopolitanism coexists perfectly with the town's ancient traditions. For example, the annual Donazione della Santa Spina, literally the gift of the Holy Thorn, is a reenactment of the history of the relationship between the noble Fortebracci family and its fiefdom. The reliquary of the Holy Thorn, a repoussé silver container engraved in relief in which Christ's crown of holy thorns lies, can be found at the monastery of Sant'Agnese. And each year, this symbolic item, on occasion of the religious and historical reenactment of its donation, attracts hundreds of visitors who come to the town to imbibe the somewhat unreal atmosphere of medieval times. During the reenactment of the town's medieval past, Montone becomes a natural theatre, with the parochialism of its inhabitants dividing the town into 3 competing districts, while the respective taverns offer hearty meals and a constant flow of wine. The cloisters of the San Francesco Museum complex, situated within an ancient Franciscan settlement constituted by the Church of San Francesco and the adjacent convent, are truly beautiful. As you leave the town through one of its gates, you can take the path of silence and spirituality towards the 11th century Romanesque Byzantine parish church of San Gregorio. A short distance from Montone, within a vast state-owned forest stretching up to Bocca Seriola, lies the hillside town of Pietralunga, overlooking the Carpinella Valley. When you arrive in Pietralunga for the first time, you get the feeling of entering a large, well-protected medieval manor. The entrance is at the ancient castle, a military fortress where one can clearly see the entrance gate to the substantial manor of Longobards origin, featuring the massive pentagonal tower commonly known as the Rocca. Following this initial impact, the visitor's gaze falls on the less obtrusive, more elegant row of aristocratic palazzi, starting with Palazzo Fiorucci, 1612, and its delightful internal walkway characterized by the family crest, 3 flowers held up, followed by the Renaissance town hall, which in the 17th century became the seat of the Holy Order of the Knights of Malta, and ending with the 15th century Palazzo del Capitano del Popolo, seat of local government and of the tribunal with the town's dungeons below. Recent restoration work on the rear section of the building has revealed once again the splendid ancient castle walls that ran all the way around the town. The town centre is dominated by the Palazzi Signorili, home to the wealthiest, noblest families in Pietralunga who made a substantial contribution to the town's history. The simple yet fascinating parish church of Santa Maria, with its single nave, boasts a fine upper rose window and a beautiful Romanesque portal. The surrounding area features nature reserves, forests and woods, footpaths and trails of various length and difficulty, making this one of the most beautiful sections of the Umbrian Apennines. Visitors may also relax in the pleasant pine wood at Candeletto. Pietralunga is another Umbrian town that boasts its own celebration of an historical event, in this case the Palio della Mannaia, a festival involving the entire population, all dressed in medieval costume, during which they reenact a miraculous 14th century occurrence when the Mannaia, a wagon used to carry convicted criminals to their place of execution, broke down 3 times, thus saving the life of a man unjustly accused of murder. Our journey continues towards the center of the upper Tiber Valley to Città di Castello, a town that stands out from a distance as Civitas Castelli was described in the 15th century, as it suddenly comes into view amidst the surrounding green hills, enclosed within its 16th century walls, part of which run alongside the nearby river Tiber. Towers and churches placidly emerge from the landscape against the white and pink of the town's walls and roofs. It was the subject of works by a number of Renaissance painters who offered their metaphysical interpretation of these sites using iridescent blues to depict details of the soul of this town, one that boasts centuries of culture together with a vision of the world where respect for nature blends effortlessly with the town's dynamic crafts industries. Visitors can enjoy the artistic, cultural, crafts and sporting events and sites the town offers, which may be subdivided to form 3 itineraries: one historical, one dedicated to visiting the town's museums, and one in which visitors can witness the town's craft industries at first hand. The first itinerary starts from the town's history. In the 13th century, Civitas Castelli was a flourishing commune surrounded by stone walls, protecting the 4 districts still present to this day. The town centre features 2 squares, Piazza Matteotti and Piazza Gabriotti, where the symbols of civil power stand. That is, the ancient Palazzo dei Priori, currently the town hall, and opposite that of the tall civic tower, embellished with noble crests which dominates the surrounding valley. Between the 15th and 16th centuries, the battle for power between the local noble families saw the Vitelli family come out winners. The town became a splendid visual show of their power through the construction of 4 large family residences, which, owing to their regular design and size, transformed the appearance of each of the town's quarters. The majority of the town centre blends in effortlessly with these constructions, creating a harmonious continuum with the town's hanging gardens and ancient stone walls. In this scenario, a further possible itinerary explores the town's artistic traditions, right up to the present day, thanks to the generosity of one man, Alberto Burri, who bequeathed to his hometown an exceptional collection of artistic works, currently on display at Palazzo Albizzini and at the former tobacco drying sheds. Large industrial constructions built on the town's outskirts in the 1950s and later, on the artist's request, painted black and prepared to house his works, subdivided into pictorial cycles. Città di Castello's unobtrusive beauty renders it a museum town, a giant treasure chest carefully preserved and rendered available to be admired at exhibitions, in the bountiful collections, and at the events organized each year. The artistic itinerary continues with the Municipal Art Gallery, housed in Palazzo Vitelli, with its superbly decorated facade by Giorgio Vasari, where visitors to Città di Castello can see the works of famous artists such as Raffaello, Luca Signorelli, Domenico Ghirlandaio, Andrea della Robbia, Lorenzo Ghiberti, Antonio Vivarini, Raffaellino del Colle, Pomarancio, and Santi di Tito. The Paliotto and the Tesoro di Canoscio, 2 valuable collections of religious items in gold, together with other collections of items used in religious services, are currently on view at the Cathedral Museum. The crafts itinerary takes us to 3 museums displaying the history and evolution of the town's 3 principal craft products: fine fabrics, tablecloths, wall hangings, rugs and lace woven on hand looms, currently on display at the town's Museum of Weaving. Then there's the printing tradition, for which the town is so famous, the history of which is illustrated at the Typography Museum. And last but not least, there's the town's Museum of Popular Traditions, one of the first of its kind in Italy, displaying a variety of artifacts related to the area's peasant traditions. In the center of Città di Castello, at the rear of Palazzo Buffalini, the loggias offer a porticoed courtyard where markets, exhibitions, and other events are often held. Finally, Città di Castello boasts its famous International Festival of Nations, a music festival held in late summer in the town's churches, villas, and palazzi. The universal language of music unites nations, as the title itself suggests, and each year the festival brings together famous artists from Italy, Europe, and the rest of the world. For those who wish to combine history with spirituality and nature, a trip to see the Basilica of Canoscio is recommended, an important place of Marian worship visited by thousands each year. Not far away from the basilica stands the 12th century parish church of Saints Cosmas and Damian, from where worshippers can say their farewells to the largest, most important town in the upper Tiber Valley. Continuing north once more, in a landscape that is a mosaic of colors, fragrances, and emotions, we get to San Giustino, the ancient Milicianum. Testimony to its medieval past is provided by the Romanesque crypt, dating from the 8th century, the original core of the present church that, like the town, takes the name of the martyr Giustino, with its fascinating Greek cross recently restored to its original pure form. The one building that really stands out in San Giustino is Buffalini Castle, the symbol of the town, which in the Middle Ages was the fiefdom of the Buffalini family. Built in the late 15th century as a military fortress, it was later transformed into an aristocratic residence, housing a great many works by famous artists such as Cristoforo Gherardi, known as Doceno. The castle's corner towers, crenellated walls, drawbridge and deep, star-shaped moat are still clearly visible. The Renaissance loggia connecting the castle's towers is also a thing of beauty. A splendid Italianate garden has been laid out between the castle's walls and moat, featuring a maze, lemon houses, fountains and box hedges. The 17th century church of the Santissimo Crocifisso is also of considerable interest. The town is now a modern manufacturing and agricultural centre, and it houses a unique tobacco museum, which recounts the history of the town and of the important tobacco industry that has characterized the entire Upper Tiber Valley since the 16th century. The origins of this industry can be traced back to a unique place, the Republic of Cospaia, the smallest republic in the world. And for centuries, a free trade zone, as a result of a mistake that was made when the borders of the Papal States were established. The inhabitants took advantage of the situation to be the first in Italy to cultivate tobacco. And for this reason, certain varieties of tobacco still take the name of Cospaia. For archaeology buffs, a visit to the Colle Plinio complex is highly recommended. This is the site of Pliny the Younger's Villa in Tuscis, often mentioned in his letters to his uncle, Pliny the Elder. The archaeological excavations at Colle Plinio are currently held at the 17th century Villa Graziani di Cesalba, commissioned by the nobleman Carlo Graziani of Città di Castello and designed by the architect Antonio Cantagallina of San Sepolcro. Cesalba also boasts traces of its Longobard past in the delightful ogival Gothic portal. Not far from the archaeological site, in a small village situated in the Apennines along the Umbria-Marche borders, is the site of a medieval mill, belonging to the Renzetti family, still in excellent condition, complete with mill wheel and 16 oak paddles. During the 20th century, this mill managed to mill more than a quintal of wheat a day. The mill can currently be visited as a place of cultural and didactic interest. The nearby village of Selce Lama houses the Stabilimento Tipografico Pliniano Museum. This printing works, dating from 1913, houses a fascinating collection of machinery, instruments, printing characters, and clichés from the past that helps visitors to the museum understand the beauty and complexity of book production. Following the Upper Tiber Valley in a northwards direction, the village of Citerna comes into view, on the top of a hill lying between the Cerfone and Sovara streams. Civitas Sobariae, as it was originally called, was founded in Imperial Roman times and has always been a place of considerable strategic importance. The Longobards transformed it into a fortress, of which the Cassero or Rocca remains, once the residence of the local lords. The charming village square in the center of Citerna offers splendid views across the valley below, from Monte della Verna to your left, right around to Assisi's Mount Subasio to the right, and taking in San Sepolcro and Città di Castello, a stunning canvas of various hues of green characterizing the delightful hillsides of the Tiber Valley. Here one gets a very good idea of what time and space must have been like in the Middle Ages, as you walk around the close-knit series of walkways set into the 15th century walls that encircle most of the village, vaults, cisterns, and underground channels where pure local water is the key player. The medieval period gradually blurs with the subsequent Renaissance period in the village's history, characterized by the presence of a number of local aristocratic families. The Bourbon del Monte, the Malatesta, and above all, the Vitelli family, who managed to combine their skills as military leaders with the duties of refined patrons. Artists such as Raffaellino del Colle, Donatello, Pomerancio, and Signorelli enriched the village's artistic heritage with their works. The 14th century Church of San Francesco boasts a frescoed niche portraying the Madonna surrounded by saints and angels attributed to Luca Signorelli. The right wing of the transept contains a painting of Christ in glory by Raffaellino del Colle, while the left-hand wing contains a painting in tempera on canvas by Niccolò Circignani, otherwise known as Pomarancio, portraying the deposition. The chapel in the apse features the Madonna of Citerna in polychrome terracotta by Donatello, 1415 to 1420. The church of San Michele Arcangelo features Pomarancio's Crucifixion, 1570, while the church's second chapel on the left boasts a Madonna with Child by Luca della Robbia the Younger. The artistic itinerary ends with a visit to Casa Prosperi Vitelli, a 15th century palazzo with a splendid fireplace, and the former Franciscan convent that now houses the town hall, where visitors may see the Sala degli Ammassi, a series of fascinating underground rooms holding ancient cisterns used to collect water. During the summer, this wonderful natural scenario looking out over the valley becomes an important cultural venue when it organizes the international photographic festival Citerna Fotografia, an important series of events, courses and workshops dedicated to photographic art, which attract photographers and critics from far and wide. Such a beautiful village encourages visitors to discover the surrounding area on foot, along paths and trails leading to places of natural beauty, such as the Parco del Belvedere, and also places of prayer and meditation, such as the 16th century monastery of the Santissimo Crocifisso at Cerecchio. Citerna, voted one of Italy's 100 most beautiful small towns and villages, is one of the stages along the St. Franciscan Way, which runs from the sanctuary at Laverna in Tuscany to Rieti in Lazio. We end our journey with a visit to the nearby village of Monte Santa Maria Tiberina. Journeying along ancient Etruscan roads, the way winds up to around 700 meters, to this splendid walled village situated atop a hill with a 360-degree view of the surrounding countryside and the Tiber Valley below. Since ancient times, the view of Monte Santa Maria Tiberina has been dominated by the castle tower and the bell tower of the ancient parish church of Santa Maria. This terrace village offers magnificent views in all directions, and on a clear day one can make out the Tuscan hills of the Casentino and the Gran Sasso d'Abruzzo mountain. The village centre is dominated by the palazzo of the Marquises Bourbon del Monte, the family that midway through the 13th century transformed the village into an imperial fiefdom in central Italy. The palazzo has since been transformed into a museum portraying the history of this noble family. Important art exhibitions have been held here in recent years relating to the figure of famous artist Caravaggio. Visitors may also have the pleasure of attending ancient religious events such as the procession held to celebrate the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary on the 15th of August, when the mayor, in accordance with the ancient tradition, hands over the silver keys to the village to the Virgin Mary. Within the stone village walls stand the parish church and the church of Santa Maria, with its crypt where the Bourbon del Monte Marquises are buried. The surrounding area also offers a number of interesting sites worth visiting, including Lippiano Castle, a powerful manor that has been very well preserved. Once again, as on other stages of our journey, the local area with its splendid forests, pine woods and meadows, crisscrossed by numerous paths and trails, offers the perfect opportunity for hiking, horse riding, or an excursion by mountain bike at all time of the year. Finally, there's one curious local tradition that tends to involve the entire village, and that is the game of ruzzola, where small rounds of cheese are rolled by players along the local roads in an event that combines the flavor of mature sheep's cheese with the pleasure of the sporting contest itself. The Upper Tiber Valley is renowned for two particular ancient culinary traditions, the gathering of wild foods and the cultivation of traditional produce. The famous cep mushrooms, porcini in Italian, wild asparagus, sour cherries, chestnuts and wild herbs all are ingredients of both simple recipes and more elaborate dishes, all of which delicious. A special mention goes to the black truffle and to the rarer, highly prized white truffle and spring white bianchetto truffle, which contribute towards enhancing the economy of the more mountainous parts of the valley. Red meats alternate with white meats at mealtimes in Umbria. Delicious spit-roasted pig and barbecued sausages and the famous roast lamb are examples of the foods traditionally served here. Agriculture's best produce include the famous white potato, used to make gnocchi, served with truffles, as well as wheat and maize, the basis of a great many local dishes. The areas are characterized by modern vineyards and fields of sunflower that brighten those slopes exposed to the sun's warmth. Last but not least, sacred olive trees produce the finest extra virgin olive oil. Getting to know the Upper Tiber Valley means discovering those local traditions that have given shape to an artistic crafts industry representing a superb blend of cultural and economic development. The products of the local ceramics industry, to be found in specialized stores, are now also on display in various art galleries and museums. The blacksmith's trade is still going strong, as is that of traditional carpenters. In fact, the area is famous for the restoration of antique furniture and for the manufacture of reproduction furniture. Local crafts also include lace embroidery, crochet work and weaving, almost all of which is done by hand on ancient looms and spinning wheels using original Renaissance patterns, resulting in the production of rugs, wall hangings and tablecloths of inestimable artistic value. Printing continues on 19th century presses and printing machinery from various periods in history, all of which still in perfect working order. These are all examples of vital craft industries that have contributed to the artistic and cultural life of the Upper Tiber Valley. A special thanks to authorized by the Ministry of Cultural Heritage, Superintendency of Historical, Artistic and Ethno-Anthropological Heritage in Umbria.